The Tokyo Olympics so far have been so inspiring. But what if animals competed in Olympics? Which animal athletes would come out on top? Welcome back to Shelby on Safari, and in today's video we are going to meet the pelican and see what 5 Olympic sports they would excel at. So you ready? Join the safari and let's get started. The first Olympic sport I think pelicans would certainly get the gold medal in is diving. Of the 2 diving events, I think they would probably specialize in the platform event, in which athletes dive from a fixed 10-meter height platform. They're scored on a variety of different factors, including the beauty of a diver's movements, the lack of splash upon entering the water, and the combination of rotations, 3 of which being straight, pike, or tuck. Now, there are 2 different species of pelican that actually dive for their food that would probably go head-to-head in the gold medal final. They are the brown pelican and the Peruvian pelican. Now, while 10 meters is certainly quite high, the brown pelican has been recorded diving from heights of 60 feet, which is roughly 18 meters high. So 10 meters would be a walk in the park. While they're soaring the skies, they're looking out for fish below. When they spot some, they will make that gravity-defying dive and plunge head first into the water, and hopefully coming to the surface with fish in their bill, or galar sac, as we've seen in previous Shelby on Safari videos. Now, the brown pelican may have a few more advantages to making dives such as these than us humans. They have air sacs beneath the skin on their breasts to help soften the blow of entering the water. Essentially, they act as cushions. Now, we see human divers rotate their body during the diving competitions. It turns out pelicans do this as well. However, they have a preference on which way they turn. They rotate their body ever so slightly left. This rotation helps prevent injury to their esophagus and trachea, which are located on the right side of the bird's neck. And just like the human divers train for many months and weeks and years, pelicans, in fact, too, have to train to dive. Adults tend to be better marksmen when it comes to grabbing the fish than younger pelicans. Seems that they learn over time and through practice that a steep dive tends to be a more successful dive. For diving between 60 and 90 degrees reduces aiming errors caused by water surface refraction. The second sport that I think pelicans would rock in the Olympics is surfing. Now, I'm a bit biased about this one, well, because it's near and dear to my heart. Let's take a brief look back into the history of this sport. It's said that the art of riding waves on boards dates back to the ancient Polynesians living in Hawaii and Tahiti. And there's one particular man who's credited as the father of modern surfing. And he actually did go to the Olympics, but alas, not for surfing, rather for swimming. I'm talking, of course, about Duke Kahanamoku. Duke won not just 1, not 2, but 3 gold medals in swimming in the 1912 and 1920 Olympics. And in fact, when he was accepting his gold medal on the platform in the 1912 Olympics in Stockholm, it's when he expressed his desire to see surfing take center stage at the Olympics. And finally, just over 100 years later, surfing has made its debut appearance in the Tokyo Games. But before the ancient Polynesians, there was another species surfing the waves. Yes, of course, dolphins do too, but pelicans. It's a common sight, actually, in Southern California to see brown pelicans surfing along the waves. So you know how birds, like vultures, use air thermals to gain lift and soar through the skies and conserve energy? Well, on the ocean, moving waves act in a similar fashion. They push air that's on the surface of the ocean up as the waves move towards the shore. So in fact, pelicans save energy by riding this updraft, just like how a surfer would ride the swell. In fact, later on at the end, we'll be talking more about another incredible attribute that they have while surfing the waves, so be sure to stay tuned to the end. But next, it's time to talk about fencing. Now, while surfing is relatively new to the Olympic Games, fencing has been around a while. It's been featured in every modern Olympic Games since 1896. Now, there's 3 different events when it comes to fencing. One of the main differences is the target area. It could be just the torso, the entire body, or the torso and the head and arms. Either way, deering fencing seems to be quite a communicative sport at some times as well, with the athletes shouting. American white pelicans too communicate in a variety of different ways, both physically and audibly, to communicate aggression, appeasement, and alarm, actually quite similar to the fencing athletes we see. They will jab at other pelicans with their bill, or extend their open mouth towards them, which might not lend itself to fencing because obviously they have the mask. Now these more aggressive displays tend to happen more during mating season or around their territories, which seem to be a bit larger than the fencing platform. The fourth sport that I think pelicans would certainly have a chance at, or at least be entertaining to watch, play in the Olympic Games, would be football, aka soccer. Now, I know this one's a bit out there, but hear me out. The pelicans' feet are exceptionally, well, amazing. They have toty-palmate feet, which is an exceptionally fun word to say, but really cool. It means that they have webbing in between all 4 of their toes. And all 4 of these toes face forwards, whereas quite a few birds have only 3 toes facing forwards and 1 facing backwards. Other species of birds that have toty-palmate feet include gannets, and my personal favorite, other than the pelican of course, cormorants. Now I argue that it's this webbing that would give the pelican greater control over the football, and it'd just be really entertaining to watch. Have you ever seen a pelican walk? It's adorable. But I thought I should mention that football is played by over 250 million people in more than 200 countries and regions. That's one popular sport. And a bit of trivia for you guys. Did you know that men's Olympic football actually has a longer history than the FIFA World Cup? It's been played at every Olympic Games since Paris in 1900, with the one exception of the LA Games in 1932. I think pelicans would be excellent synchronized swimmers, or flyers should I say. Originally, in the world of synchronized swimming, swimmers were all male and carried out round dances surrounded with garlands and lanterns. And it's relatively new to the Olympic Games as well, making its debut in the 1984 Los Angeles Games. The synchronized swimming, or artistic swimming as it's now known, performances are scored on 4 different factors. Synchronization, of course, difficulty, technique, and choreography. And it's these 4 factors that gave me the idea that pelicans would certainly get the gold, because they have some serious cooperation and synchronization skills. As I mentioned earlier with their surfing abilities, they do some pretty cool stuff when they're flying. Like many other birds, pelicans often fly in a V or U-shaped formation. Now, during their flight, an updraft is created by the upstroke of one bird's wing, and the following bird behind them can take advantage of this and save a significant amount of energy, almost like a peloton in cycling, which I think they also would probably be good at because of this formation, although I don't know with their legs with the pedals if that would work. So that's why I went with synchronized swimming. Because also, I mentioned the choreography aspect of artistic swimming. When pelicans are hunting in groups, they'll often beat their wings on the surface of the water to get fish to either gather in a tight cluster or drive them to shallower waters, making it a lot easier for them to feed. Now, the last thing that makes me think that they'd be excellent at artistic swimming comes in the form of the nose. When watching artistic swimming, you might notice before they get in the pool or even while they're in their pool that they got nose plugs. But do pelicans really have that? It turns out technically they do have nasal openings. However, their nostrils are sealed off. But because they're sealed off, it doesn't mean that they're useless. In fact, they still play a very important role in desalinizing salt water. And so pelicans technically are mouth breathers, just like the athletes that are competing in the artistic swimming event have to be. Now, pelicans stand out to me as incredible animal athletes. Like the athletes of our world face many challenges and difficulties when they're training and competing. The brown pelican in particular stands out to me because of just what they've overcome. and also because they used to be my surfing buddies. Things weren't always easy for the brown pelican though. Now if you've watched the channel enough, you probably recognize DDT, a pesticide that was used that had devastating consequences on a variety of animal species. And the brown pelican was no exception. In fact, they were considered seriously endangered in the 1970s. Since then though, thanks to conservation efforts that focused on halting the usage of DDT and other persistent pesticides, the brown pelican has made an extraordinary comeback and continues to surf the waves and dive from the skies and showcase their incredible animal athleticism. In fact, if you want to learn more about pelicans, be sure to check out my videos here. That's right, you can tell I like pelicans. I've done quite a few videos on them, so the choice is yours. Which one will you pick? Go on, click one. I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching!